Good morning, ma'am and classmate. Now we're going to discuss our topic, which is all about physiological perspective. But before that, I am Julius S. Morales, the first reporter. Objectives. At the end of this learning module, you are expected to A. Demonstrate critical and reflective truth in analyzing the different physiological theories in the study of the self. B. Expound the self as a cognitive construction. C. Examine the self as a proactive and agentic. The self as a cognitive construction. Cognitive construction is a cognitive approach that focuses on the mental processes rather than observation behavior. This approach will assist individuals in assimilating new information to their existing knowledge and will enable make the appropriate modification to their existing intellectual framework to accommodate their new information. So, what is cognitive construction? Cognitive construction, also known as a constructivism. Constructivism purports that people construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through their experiences and their reflection upon these experiences, and is understood as contextual or ecological, and determining cognitive capacities with social experiences. Having a complete self means that we have a lot of different ways of thinking about ourselves. Halimbawa, ang isang babae na ang konsepto sa sarili ay naglalaman ng mga panlipunang pagkakakilanlan ng estudyante, kasintahan, anak na babae, estudyante ng filosofiya, at manlalaro ng tinis, at nakatagpo ng iba't ibang uri ng karanasan sa kanyang buhay.
My name is Jane Barbiazan Luchay, BSMT. William James and the Me-Self, I-Self. According to William James, the model of the self indicates that there are two layers of self, me-self, I-self. Me is concerned with the objective identity that includes the social and spiritual characteristics, physical appearance, and awareness of self-appearance. James described two aspects of the self that he termed the I-self and the me-self. The I-self reflects what people see or perceive themselves doing in the physical world, recognizing that one is walking, eating, writing, whereas the me-self is a more subjective and psychological phenomenon. Global versus differential models. As illustrated, global self-concept and self-esteem are built on perceptions of self in various broad arenas, academic and non-academic, and can be further divided into more specific components, while the hierarchical nature of the self-concept remains theoretical. Educational research supports viewing the construct as multidimensional. Self-efficacy is a construct that was developed to distinguish beliefs about one's capability to successfully achieve the specific goals. For instance, self-efficacy may change depending on whether one is dancing in front of peers, teachers, or a crowd, or whether one is asked to perform in a studio, on the street, or on a stage.
My name is Rialyn E. Garcia. We talk about real and ideal self-concepts. According to Carl Rogers, with his person-centered theory, established a concept of self, involving the real self and the ideal self. The real self is a part of ourself we will feel, think, work, and involving our self-image. The ideal self resolved around goals and ambitions in life is dynamic. The idealized image that we have developed over time. That is what our parents have taught us considering what we admire in others. A wide gap between the ideal and the real self indicate in our congruence and unhealthy personality. and the way that I am is not aligned with how I want to be. The incongruence of lack of alignment will result in mental distress or anxiety. The greater the level of incongruence between the ideal and the real self, the greater is the ideal of resulting distress. Multiple selves and unified selves. Theorists believe that they can undergo several transitions in his life and create multiple versions of himself. However, there is still the contention of importance of mental well-being of maintaining a unified, controllized, coherent self. Multiple selves, according to Key Georgian, are the capacities we carry within us from multiple relationships. Unified selves, as strongly pointed out in traditional psychology, emphasize that well-being comes when our personality dynamics are congruent, cohesive, and consistent. It is understood that a person is essentially connected with selfhood and identity.
My name is Myrel Belintias, and I'm going to discuss the true versus false selves. The true self is represented by our real feelings and desire, while the false self is a side of us that has changed its behavior, repressed feelings, and pushed needs aside in order to survive. We introduce the idea of the unknown, the true self at the center protected by our layers of false selves. The healthy false selves. The healthy false selves is described as one which allows someone to be functional in society. It enables politeness and social courtesy even when we not feel like it. A healthy false self is one that works with and stays committed to the true selves. It is a form of useful self-protection and that it shields us at times when vulnerability would not be appreciated or might even be harmful. The unhealthy false selves comes from the same origins as the healthy false selves. However, for our long-term well-being, the effects of the unhealthy false selves are quite different to those of its counterpart. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Desiree Coliso. So, the self as proactive and agentic embodies the endowments, belief systems, self-regulatory capabilities, and distributed structures and functions through which personal influence is exercised, rather than reside as a discrete entity. Bandura believes that through our agency, we humans are perceived as proactive agents of experiences. The alternative is that humans' lives are at the whim of destiny. Through this, agents or agency, we humans play a big role in our self-development, adaptation, and self-renewal. It is said that the human agency have four features. These features are intentionally forethought, self-reactiveness, and self-reflectiveness. What is the self as proactive? Proactivity or proactive behavior refers to self-initiated behavior that endeavors to solve a problem before it has occurred. Proactive behavior involves acting in advance of a future situation rather than reacting. Proactivity is the ability to do things in advance of an event to ensure you have maximum control. Examples of being proactive include studying for an exam so you have the best chance of succeeding, or turning up to work early to be prepared for your day, and asking for help when you are stuck rather than failing at a test. Self as agentic. The agentic self is defined as the aspect of human personality that is determined by the future assessments of one's goals, objectives, and actions. Agentic self functions are adversely affected by degenerating planning, selecting, and implementing the capabilities of an individual. There are four main features of self as agentic are the following. First is intentionality, which refers to acts done intentionally. For example, I saw an old woman who will cross the street, but unfortunately she can walk fast. and what I did was to help her, and my only intention is to cross her safe. Second is forethought, which enables the person to anticipate the likely consequences of prospective actions. For example, I will clean my room not just because to make it clean and comfortable, but to have a good ambience for me to study. I'm thinking of a good consequences that I should do. Third is self-reactiveness, which involves making choices and choosing appropriate courses of action as well as motivating and regulating them. For example, I choose this course and I must do my obligations to study, pass, and learn from my subjects. I must be reactive towards the things and circumstances that might happen and will happen. Lastly is the self-reflectiveness gives the person the ability to reflect upon the adequacy of his or her thoughts and actions. For example, I didn't study our lesson in math and I got a failing grade. Basically, I will reflect on what happened, and the best thing to do is to do better and never let someone or a certain subject bring you down. The advantage of being an agentic person. By regulating their motivation and activities, people produce the experiences that form the functional neurobiological substrate of symbolic, social, psychomotor, and other skills. An agentic perspective fosters lines of research that can provide new insights into the social construction of brain function. The advantage of being proactive. Being proactive allows you to dictate your particular position and supplies a sense of control over whatever situation you may be facing. Essentially, your proactivity will enable you to be more prepared. When you are proactive, you are able to think and act ahead before your circumstances change.